How's it going, everyone? This is another Security Unfiltered mentorship episode, and it looks like I might actually be able to get it posted on time this week, right? It's been difficult, right? I don't need to tell you guys any more times, right? Newborn baby and whatnot, but things are really moving. There's a lot of different projects that I have that are wrapping up, more projects that are starting up and whatnot. It's just a busy time, right? It's good to be busy. It's good to stay active. It's good to be learning new things, which I'm always doing, right? I'm trying to prepare for my CISSP certification at the end of June, I believe it is. So just going through the motions, getting that knowledge in, trying to learn as much of it as I can, while also, pushing this podcast forward. So, but it's been great. So today, we are going to be discussing how to build a bomb-proof network part two. So part one, I discussed the importance of really building a professional network, but I did it from the perspective mostly of the experienced professional and how you would build a network internally at a company, externally at other companies, how you manage and maintain those relationships and whatnot. And it's all great information to have, right? But what if you're in college right now and you don't know anyone in the industry and you're anxious about getting into this industry that no one in, and no one is out there really providing any guidance or help for you. What do? And I think nowadays it's a little bit more difficult than it used to be before the pandemic, because now there's a lot of programs that are online. They're no longer in person. In person had its own kind of unique challenges if you're an introvert, right? Because you have to interact with other people, you have to potentially directly interact with the professor, classmates, answer questions, respond to them. It's a whole onslaught of things that you would have to do socially that would kind of naturally just build that relationship between you and that person. Now online, it is very different. It's very difficult, honestly, to just even get questions out of your students if you're a professor, right? Because students can just sit back and absorb the information, and they don't feel pressured to learn or nod or agree or disagree even. Um, and so it's a different environment, and I think in my perspective, in my experience, the professors that are the best ones or the most successful ones are the ones that actually engage with the class. And they try to cut through all the weeds. They try to cut through all the BS of the course, all the information that the students don't need to know to be successful in the field or anything like that. They try to cut through all of that and really make some headways for the students and get them interacting with the class and whatnot. So that is a huge thing. But what if that doesn't happen? Not every professor is very skilled or very good in that area. So what if it doesn't happen? Um, this is what I would do, right? This is partially what I did when I was doing my master's program, fully online, 100% online. Never met a classmate in person or anything like that. What I did was I would kind of form working groups because we were all studying the same thing. And so a lot of us would have the same classes. And so I would reach out and be like, hey, do you understand this? Right? Like you seemed like you got it in class. Do you understand it? I'm having trouble with this. Even if I'm not, it's a good conversation starter. And, I would say around like 80, 90% of the time, people will actually respond. They give you an answer, whatever it might be. And you continuously work with those people throughout the program. because you are taking the same classes, you are going down the same path. You may take them at different times. You may, develop a friendship and choose when you guys are taking classes together and stuff like that. Um, but that is definitely a means to doing it. The next one would be the professor. So asking questions to the professor, asking them for professional career advice and things like that, emailing them, you get all of their emails, right? And every single one of them should be added on LinkedIn. And guess what? Every single one of your classmates should also be added on LinkedIn. Every single one. The reason being is that you never know where a connection will take you or lead you or help you or provide something that you may have not even thought of before, right? There could be someone in my, LinkedIn that I haven't talked to in years, that I never took the time, never thought of the value behind it of, developing a relationship with this person, right? And so maybe I never reached out, but maybe there's one day when they do actually reach out, when they, maybe need help or they're able to provide something to me, right? Um, that's the sort of situation that LinkedIn provides for people to cultivate if they want. Now, on top of that, you're not going to get along with everyone. You're not going to see eye to eye with everyone, and that's okay. But what's extremely important with that is being respectful with everyone. And the best way when I'm getting heated with someone, when it's becoming a difficult conversation, I have learned to slow down and literally say this to them, like, "Hey, look, we're not going to agree on this. I see it from a different perspective, you see it from another perspective, and that's okay, right? We can still talk, we can still be friends. That's fine. We just don't have to discuss this because it's putting strain on our relationship and there's really no need for that." you know, um that is what I have found to work the best. I'll give you an example. Um I have a friend that was on the pro Russia side when Russia invaded Ukraine. He thought that Russia was in the right. He thought that Ukraine, deserved it or something. I definitely disagreed with every single point that he said about the topic, every single thing. And we're good friends. We've been friends for years. But I mean, when Russia invaded Ukraine, this was like all that we could talk about for a couple weeks. And it got to the point where it was uncomfortable, where I was, getting too angry, right, over what he was saying. And at the end of the day, it's just words, right? Like it's not like he's throwing punches at me or throwing things at me or trying to be disrespectful, right? But for me, just how my head works, I can get heated just from words, just from a constructive, um, kind of tense talk, right? And so I had to slow down. I had to slow down. I had to step away, and I had to say, look, we're coming at this from two totally different perspectives, two totally different points of view. I completely disagree with everything that you said about this topic. I think that you're completely incorrect. I know that you think that I'm completely incorrect. But we don't have to discuss this, right? So let's just discuss anything else. We could talk about anything. You know, what do you want to talk about? And just change the topic from there. And that's probably not going to always work. It's probably, I would say that it would work 9 out of 10 times, right? It's that one time where you get someone that's really difficult, that wants to just keep on going, and they'll bring it up, like they'll let you change the topic and then they'll like try to circle back to it. When that happens, I kind of just let it go. I let it go in one ear and out the other. I don't acknowledge it or anything like that. because it doesn't need to be acknowledged. I already stated my point of view. I stated that, like, hey, I would like to maintain a friendship, but if we're going to do that, we probably shouldn't be discussing this, and keep it professional. And this was even with a friend that I don't know in security. He's in a totally different industry from me. I don't know him in a professional environment, but I still kept it, kind of professional, right? Like I felt like I was able to navigate a difficult situation that hangs up a lot of people. And so another thing that I want to bring up, right, when you're building relationships with classmates, with professors, when you're adding them on LinkedIn, if any of them are local to you, you should absolutely offer to go to lunch. Like, hey, do you want to go to lunch and discuss different things, security, career, whatever? Um, do you want to go grab drinks at this happy hour, whatever it might be? And it's maybe 50-50, right? But eventually you'll get someone that wants to do it. And that's the important part. And then, you have to continue and maintain that relationship. The biggest thing that that I have noticed that is frustrating, right, is people that will kind of start a friendship or a relationship just in general, um and then they'll just like not text, not call, not email, not message on LinkedIn, right? Depending on the relationship, of course. They will wait for you to do it, right? And that's very one sided. It's very lopsided. That's not fair to both parties. Um, and so for myself personally, right, the people that, respond to me in a decent time frame, I will continue to reach out to them and, maintain that relationship. For the people that, I notice are a little bit distant, that don't respond, really properly, or um, don't take the initiative themselves to actually, to actually send the message first. Those people kind of go into like another box in my head, right? And it's like, I'm not going to be as close with them, and that's okay. I don't have to put a whole bunch of effort into trying to be close with them if they're not going to be putting in the effort themselves, right? And that's kind of like it's like a protecting myself sort of thing. Just something that I've learned with years of therapy, to be quite honest. Um, you know, and I'll give you an example, right? Um, so I used to be really good friends with this guy from high school. We got into security around the same time. We were really good friends. We lived together for several years, and then as soon as we moved out, he basically just stopped texting people. And so I would text, other friends would text, and he would never respond, right? And eventually, everyone got tired of him not responding because we just want to hang out, we want to have a good time, and this guy isn't even responding to us, like completely ghosting us. To me, that's unacceptable, right? Like it's not building a relationship. And then on the flip side, someone from LinkedIn that was in security before I even got into security, that I was trying to get into security. We added, I think I actually added him on LinkedIn. And, he reached out. He said, hey, I don't know you. Maybe we will create a relationship or a friendship, in the future. But if there's anything that I can help you with, just let me know. And I'll be more than happy to at least put the time forward to help you accomplish whatever you want to accomplish. That is the extreme exception. I've found, like, I have over 6,000 connections on LinkedIn. That's nothing to brag about or anything like that, right? Out of 6,000 connections that I have, maybe 10 did that. Now, this person I still talk to this day. And I have provided some assistance to him. I like to believe, at least, but he has provided significant amounts of assistance to me. He has provided guidance on this podcast, things to do, things to try, things that I'm doing well, things that I can improve on, all that good stuff. And I need that sort of circle around me to improve. At least in my opinion, I need it. And he's even gotten me a job. Like that's the sort of person that he is, but that's the sort of connection that you can bring to the table. That's the sort of relationship that you can develop and nurture, right? Let me tell you, like, we were messaging 4 years off and on. Doesn't have to be every single day, doesn't have to be every week or even every month, right? But maybe once a quarter, you reach out to a certain group of people, or individually, a list of people, right? And you just say, hey, how's it going? Is there anything that I can help you with? Anything you're struggling with right now? How's everything going for you? That will go much farther than you would expect. Because people are kind of caught off guard with that, especially with the pandemic and everyone being remote. People are kind of distant, more distant than they've ever been, at least in my opinion. They're more distant than they've ever been, more antisocial than they've ever been. And so you taking the initiative, even, you adding someone on LinkedIn and saying, hey, I'm trying to get into security. I'm wondering if, I could buy you coffee, I could buy you lunch, and I can just like bounce ideas off your head, and just tell me where I'm at, if I'm doing things wrong, if I'm doing things right. And guess what? It doesn't have to be in person. You can buy them, a Grubhub gift card, $25. Boom, you bought them lunch. Now you have 30 minutes of their time. And you're getting ideas, you're getting input from them, you're learning, you're growing, you're developing and nurturing that relationship, that connection. That's what I've actually done. I've actually done this with some of the connections on LinkedIn that I have. I was just like, hey, I don't know anyone else that I can actually go to for this information. Would you be willing to just hear me out for 30 minutes? And I'm just looking for guidance. There's a lot of people out there that are willing to do that. That's why I set up the Patreon. It kind of has that feel too, because I didn't want the Patreon to be, so expensive that I'm going to like get rich off of it. And, my viewers look at that and think like, oh, this guy's just going to get rich off of people doing this. Definitely not. I wish that was the case, but definitely not. And I set it up as the opportunity to, engage in that sort of discussion right off the bat. And, my listeners, you can sign up and do it, right? You can sign up for 1 month and cancel, right? You can give it a try. You can give me, a dry run with it, right? Where, you pay, I think it's like $20 for that month. And we do a 30-minute mentorship session over lunch or something like that. And you bounce all of your ideas and questions off of me, and I give you guidance on how to achieve your goals. You can do that over LinkedIn. You can do that with me. You can do that, with other people that you have met, that you haven't met. It's all about how you approach it. And I'll tell you this. I have a friend that has been working at the same warehouse for at least 15, probably 12 years by now. And he's unhappy. He's been unhappy for years. He doesn't make enough money. He does not make anywhere near close to enough money. And when I say enough money, I mean like he's getting by, right? But he's not living comfortably. He's not able to do, trips. He's not able to do things that that I'm doing, that's for sure, right? And I'm not trying to pass judgment on him or anything like that. The only reason why I bring it up is because he's brought it up to me. Is because he has actually looked for guidance and whatnot. And, he works for a large Fortune 500 company. If I mention their name, every single person would know exactly who they are, what they do, everything like that. He works for this very large company. And he just works in the warehouse. He doesn't work in IT, but he wants to get in IT, but he doesn't know how to do it because he's working so many hours. He doesn't really have enough free time to actually go and study for the certifications that he needs to take. A little background, this guy is waking up at 2:30 a.m. every single day. Right? I can't. Hey, look, I'm going to be honest with you. If you want me to wake up at 2:30 a.m., I could do it one day. You want me to do it a second day in a row? You're going to have to pay me a lot more money than I'm making right now. I'll tell you that right now. That is just impossible for me to do. It's impossible for me to even fathom how he can do it for so long. When he wakes up at 2:30, he gets to work by 4 a.m. and he works until 7 p.m. That's what he does every single day. And that's what he's done every single day for the past 12 years. It's at least 12 years by now. And he wants to get in IT, but due to this work schedule, he doesn't really have enough time to, put an hour aside, put 2 hours aside and study for the Security Plus, study for certifications, right? I recommended to him that he should just reach out to the IT manager. He knows who this person is, right? But he should reach out, over email and say, hey, I've been at this company for this many years. I want to get in IT. Do you have any guidance of how to get into it? What are you looking for in candidates? And I'm just wondering, if you could give me like a checklist, and if I meet that checklist the next time you're looking for a candidate, would you at least consider me? That would work like 100% of the time. Okay. I mean, that is a high return email right there because you are willing to put in the work. You just don't know what to do. You don't know what the requirements are. You don't know what they're looking for. You already have an in. You work for the same exact company, right? Like you can easily email them or even call them. I wouldn't call them. I would email them. And you're just asking for guidance. That's it. You're asking for an opportunity. You're not going to get the opportunity if you don't ask for it. Plain and simple. And he's never done it. And in all honesty, we've been friends since like second grade. He probably never will do it. Just because that's not the type of person that he is, and that's a very edge action that he would take, right? But that is definitely something that you can do, that you can try, that has worked, will work. And look, not everyone's going to respond to you. Not everyone is going to accept your invite for getting help or guidance, right? Not everyone. I am one of the people that will. I 9 times out of 10, if you ask me for help, I'm probably going to give you help. I mean, it would be like 9.5 times out of 10, right? Um, but not everyone is like that, and you shouldn't take it personal. You should not take it personal. I only take it personal when people commit to something and then they don't do it and then they ghost you. That's when I take it personal. but that's me, You got to figure out what kind of grinds your gears, I guess. Some advice with these connections that you're developing. So you got to stay in touch with these people. Maybe it's once a month. If it's a closer friend, maybe it's, once a week or something like that. Once a month is really the most that you would want to do for someone that you're developing, a relationship with in a professional sense, right? I'm not giving you relationship advice. I would say at a minimum would be quarterly. So once every 3 months, you just send out a message or an email or a text, whatever it might be, whatever the preferred method is. And you're saying, hey, how's it going? I'm on my way to accomplishing my goals for the year. This is what we discussed last time. This is my progress on it. This is what I'm looking to do next. Do you have any guidance? And form a conversation, right? Like it'll build itself when you start going through it. And you shouldn't overthink these things. But the most important thing that I can tell you when building a relationship, a professional relationship, is be yourself. You know, I don't know how to be anyone else. I really don't. I don't know how to be anything else other than me, other than what I am, who I am. I just don't know how, right? I'm not a good actor. I'm a horrendous actor. That's why in high school, when I tried speech, I quit after like 2 weeks of doing it because I was absolutely terrible and I couldn't turn myself into someone and be believable with myself. Um, I couldn't. It wasn't a genuine thing, and so I couldn't do it. Plain and simple. Um, but be yourself. People can tell if you're someone else. People can tell if you're fake. People can tell if you're not, acting right or whatnot. Just be yourself. That's going to be far more important. That's going to get you farther than anything else. The reason being is that, you know, this is how I view it. Everyone's a work in progress, but you were made perfectly, right? But you're still a work in progress. And so you're going to make mistakes. You're going to say wrong things. You're going to do wrong things. You're going to change your beliefs a million times in your lifetime and whatnot. That's all a part of being human. But you should always be comfortable with who you are, or at least try to be. And if you're not, I highly recommend everyone go and talk to a therapist. You should find a professional that you can talk to that'll help you through this sort of thing. I'm not a professional in this area. I have no clue of what any of that would be, right? I took one psychology course in college to fulfill a requirement, and that was it. So don't take anything that I'm saying as like, gospel or exactly what you should be doing to, fulfill like your mental health. I always, kind of give the precursor that it works for me. And that's really it. I don't know if it'll work for you. I know there's maybe research that exercise helps, right? Exercise helps defeat depression and whatnot. I don't have depression though, but I exercise. So I don't know. What do I know, right? But being yourself is more important than anything else, you know? People will be drawn more to you when you are yourself because they respect that. And of course, no matter what, you always have to be respectful. You have to be respectful of your peers, of your professors, of everyone in your workplace. You should be trying to win people over with honey, not with demands, not with saying, we need to get this done for the organization and blah, blah, blah. It needs to be done right now, that sort of thing. Um, and I'll even discuss a tense conversation that I very recently had at my current workplace, where I was trying to get people to address different vulnerabilities in the cloud. Now, I don't have the right permissions in the cloud to do everything, and I don't have ownership of all of the assets. And so it is very wrong for me, even though I'm a security admin and I have the skill sets to do it. It's very wrong for me to overstep my boundaries and try and just resolve things on my own in other people's environments. But I need to hold them accountable to standards that we have set forth based on regulatory bodies, compliance requirements, and whatever else security wants to decide that they want to do. And I was getting a lot of pushback. The conversation got heated between me and another person because they didn't want to do the work. They were overworked. They were busy. And so I had to take a step back and hear about his situation and fully understand where he was coming from when he was hearing the requirements that I was saying. He took offense to it because it was just another thing at the bottom of this really long list for him to go through that he was never going to get through because he's only one person and he's trying to be the tech lead for like 5 different teams. Now, I didn't know any of that going into the conversation, but I had to slow myself down and learn it from him, before the conversation could get any more heated or go any further. And guess what? Once I heard that, once I learned that information, I was able to backtrack. I was able to slow down, apologize, because I should have approached it from a different angle. I should have approached it completely differently, and I didn't. I messed it up. But once I knew I messed it up, I apologized, I owned up, and I said, hey, look, how can we move forward with this? Like, this is an initiative that the organization has. It's not going away, but you have a huge amount of work on your plate, and I don't want to overburden you. So, what will make it the easiest? And we talked about it. We talked about what he would need for these vulnerabilities to be resolved quickly and efficiently with the least interaction from him possible. And I agreed to it, right? I'm providing something to this person that, to be quite honest, 100% of it he should be doing. I'm doing probably 70% of the work. 70% of the work, if not 80% of the work. And he gets to take credit for resolving it. I get to take credit for the compliance requirement. And everyone's happy, right? Because I'm making him look good. He's making me look good. We're working together to accomplish a common goal. And so you should always be respectful of everyone in the environment, everyone that you're around, because you have no clue what other people are going through. You have no clue where they actually sit within the social hierarchy at a workplace, at school, or anything like that. You got to go through, these situations as someone with the mentality that they don't know anything. And it seems like every single time that I try to go into a situation like this where I feel like I know, a lot, and I do probably know a lot, right? Whenever I have that mindset, something switches where I'm more argumentative, where I'm more combative. And that's not very conducive to getting things done in any workplace. So it's really highly recommended that you win people over with honey and not with making demands. So, this is part 2 of building a bomb-proof network. Now, I hope that first, of course, you went and listen to part 1, and then you're listening to this, and I hope it helps someone. So with that, guys, thank you. I really appreciate all the support, all the listeners. I really can't thank you guys enough. So thanks, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your week.